In the small, tight-knit community of Maplewood, the protagonist, Alex Carter, stood out not just for their vibrant personality but also for their beloved piece of land at the edge of town. Nestled among towering oaks and sunlit meadows, the property had been a sanctuary for Alex, a canvas for dreams that included a small garden, a cozy cottage, and perhaps even a few chickens clucking happily in the backyard. Every weekend spent there was a mini escape from the frenetic pace of city life, filled with picnics, laughter with friends, and quiet evenings watching the sunset. Alex's love for this land was deeply rooted in memories. It had been inherited from a dear grandmother who believed in the healing power of nature. As a child, Alex would run through fields of wildflowers, imagining grand adventures. Those experiences forged a bond that would shape Alex's identity and fuel aspirations for a peaceful, self-sufficient life. However, life takes unexpected turns. A sudden job opportunity arose that required Alex to temporarily relocate to another city for several months. Though hesitant to leave, responsibilities took precedence, and trusting the quaint Maplewood community to watch over the property seemed reasonable. Before departing, Alex made sure to keep up with maintenance and even set up a neighborhood watch to safeguard everything during the absence. Little did Alex know that this seemingly innocent period away would spiral into chaos. During those months, whispers circulated within the HOA about using vacant lands for communal purposes. What began as innocent discussions soon morphed into something sinister. While Alex was tending to career aspirations miles away, decisions were being made without consent or knowledge. The tranquility that once enveloped Alex's land was about to be shattered by actions taken in the shadows. What awaited upon returning would redefine everything Alex thought they knew about home, community, and ownership. The Maplewood Homeowners Association (HOA) prided itself on maintaining the idyllic charm of the neighborhood, but its regulations often walked a fine line between helpful and draconian. Established to ensure uniformity and promote communal values, the HOA had a reputation for being particularly overzealous. As Alex had learned during their time there, even minor infractions could lead to hefty fines or public reprimands. The bylaws were extensive, detailing everything from acceptable paint colors for houses to specific requirements about lawn height, fencing materials, and the types of outdoor decorations permitted. Members were expected to adhere not only to these guidelines but also to the whims of the board members, who often took it upon themselves to interpret the rules as they saw fit. What may seem like harmless attempts at preserving aesthetic appeal frequently morphed into contentious debates during monthly meetings. Alex had always been an enthusiastic participant in these discussions, enjoying spirited exchanges about community improvements and safety measures. However, with life pulling them away from Maplewood, it was easy to overlook how these seemingly mundane regulations could escalate into something more profound. The HOA was known for taking initiative on vacant properties under dubious claims of communal benefit, stirring discontent among homeowners who valued individual expression. As whispers circulated about potential projects involving underutilized lots, Alex remained unaware that their property was on a list earmarked for development by the HOA, an insidious plan that would soon come to light. While other residents believed they were banding together for common good, their collective enthusiasm masked an underlying tension within the association's leadership. With every meeting that passed in Alex's absence, the foundation of their cherished land began crumbling beneath bureaucratic decisions made without consultation or transparency. By the time Alex returned home, what awaited was far removed from both their dreams and any semblance of community spirit, a stark reminder that even well-intentioned regulations can spiral into chaos when left unchecked. The opportunity came as a whirlwind, just when Alex thought their life was on a steady path. An exciting job offer from a prestigious company in a bustling city emerged, promising career growth and fresh challenges. Although it meant leaving behind the cherished tranquility of Maplewood, the prospect was too enticing to ignore. After careful consideration, Alex made the difficult decision to accept the position, planning to return to their beloved land after a few months of settling into the new role. With a heavy heart, Alex prepared for the move, ensuring that the property was secure. Friends and neighbors were enlisted to watch over the land, and Alex felt a sense of relief knowing the community would keep an eye on things. The last few days were filled with fond farewells, sharing memories with old friends and planning future visits. They left with dreams of returning to a flourishing garden and idyllic weekends spent in their sanctuary. However, as the weeks turned into months, the thrill of city life began to overshadow those quiet moments of reflection in Maplewood. Work consumed Alex's time, and soon enough, catching up with neighbors took a backseat to climbing the corporate ladder. It was easy to forget about the small-town concerns that had once occupied their thoughts. Meanwhile, whispers of changes at home grew louder. The HOA, emboldened by Alex's absence, began implementing its plans without public input. The once vibrant sense of community waned as the board pushed through initiatives framed as improvements. Every decision made brought unforeseen consequences, all unfolding while Alex remained blissfully unaware, focusing on work deadlines and urban living. As time passed, Alex started to feel a growing sense of unease, a nagging thought that something important was slipping away amidst career advancements and city distractions. Little did they know that when they eventually returned home, the reality awaiting them would starkly contrast with the dreams they had nurtured. After months of anticipation, Alex finally returned to Maplewood, eager to reconnect with their roots. The familiar warmth of the sun filtering through the oak trees should have felt comforting, but an inexplicable dread gnawed at their stomach as they approached the property. The first sign that something was wrong came when Alex noticed the absence of vibrant foliage. What once stood as a lush garden was now a barren expanse. As Alex stepped onto the land, the shock intensified. The quaint cottage that had been a beloved retreat now loomed like a ghost against the stark backdrop of freshly laid gravel. Where there had been rows of blossoming flowers and thriving herbs was now a makeshift graveyard, headstones crudely erected, marking plots that had been carved from what was once their cherished sanctuary. This wasn't just an aesthetic tragedy, it felt like a personal attack. Panic surged as Alex scoured the site for answers. Frantic, they turned to neighbors, seeking clarity about how this graveyard had come to be. The townsfolk, while sympathetic, offered little comfort. Many had simply assumed Alex had sanctioned this transformation during their prolonged absence. Gasping at the absurdity of it all, Alex learned that a few HOA board members had decided to convert vacant lots into community memorial spaces, arguing it would foster a deeper connection among residents. What had started as an idea for community improvement had spiraled out of control, and Alex's land had become collateral damage in this misguided initiative. As feelings of betrayal washed over Alex, they began to realize that their fight wasn't just about reclaiming their property. It was about challenging an entire system that had allowed such absurdity to flourish unchecked. In that moment of clarity, another unsettling thought struck. If the HOA could transform their sanctuary into a graveyard without consent, what else were they capable of? The Pandora's box of bureaucratic overreach had opened, and Alex knew the stakes were far higher than mere aesthetics. Determined to uncover the truth behind the HOA's actions, Alex started an investigation into the decisions made during their absence. Armed with a sense of purpose, they dug through community records, poring over minutes from HOA meetings and previous correspondence. What emerged painted a disturbing picture of a board that had become increasingly insular and unaccountable. As Alex combed through old documents, they discovered that the HOA had secretly approved a proposal to repurpose vacant lots in the area, including their own property, for community memorials. Although initially framed as a way to foster connections among residents, the plan lacked transparency and had been pushed through without proper community input. Some members even hinted that board members had personal interests tied to local funeral services, prompting Alex to wonder about potential conflicts of interest. Reaching out to former neighbors, Alex learned that many residents had grown disillusioned with the HOA's heavy-handed approach but felt powerless to challenge it. Conversations revealed a growing sense of distrust. People shared stories of arbitrary fines and unexplained policy changes that left them questioning their investment in the community. It became clear that Alex was not alone in feeling marginalized. Determined to rally support, Alex began organizing informal meetings at local cafes, inviting concerned residents to discuss their grievances about the HOA. These gatherings quickly gained traction, unearthing a wellspring of frustration and resentment among homeowners. As more voices joined the conversation, it became apparent that many had long felt stifled by the board's authoritarian stance. Through these discussions, Alex's resolve hardened. It was not just about reclaiming their land anymore. It was about reforming an entire system that had strayed far from its founding ideals. The grassroots movement gained momentum, and with each encounter, plans were laid to confront the HOA with a united front. An even bigger shock lay ahead, one that Alex could never have anticipated as they prepared to challenge the authority of the association, the revelation of their unexpected ownership stake in the FBI, which would soon complicate matters further. As Alex delved deeper into their investigation, the shock of discovering ownership of the FBI unraveled layers of complexity they had never anticipated. One late evening, while reviewing old paperwork tucked away in a dusty file cabinet, Alex stumbled upon an obscure document indicating that they were a beneficiary of a distant relative's estate, a connection that linked them to a confidential stake in the agency. The implications were staggering. How could an ordinary citizen like Alex own a piece of something so monumental? Feeling overwhelmed, Alex researched further, piecing together details about the nature of this ownership. It wasn't the typical stake one might envision. There were no shares or dividends involved, but rather a legal right linked to an unfulfilled family legacy that had somehow intertwined with federal interests. As they dug more into the historical context, it became evident that Alex's ancestor had contributed to significant federal projects, leading to this bizarre inheritance. The magnitude of this revelation sent Alex's mind racing. If they held even a fractional connection to the FBI, it could serve as leverage against the HOA's tyranny over their land. Yet, it also posed existential questions about responsibility and how such a connection could be wielded, especially in light of potential corruption within local government structures. Armed with this newfound knowledge, Alex began strategizing how best to leverage this unexpected authority. They reached out to legal experts familiar with property rights and federal regulations, hoping to uncover what strategic advantages their unusual ownership might offer in challenging the HOA. Simultaneously, this discovery ignited fervor among fellow homeowners who felt empowered by the notion that they weren't just battling bureaucracy. They were fighting against a backdrop of intricate connections and history. The meetings grew more intense as residents explored how this unique twist could enhance their collective resolve. As speculation swirled about what it meant for both Alex and the community, one thing became clear. This fight was no longer just about reclaiming land but redefining power dynamics within Maplewood and beyond. The path ahead was uncertain, but armed with determination and newfound authority, Alex felt ready to face whatever came next. The implications of Alex's discovery of the ownership stake in the FBI rippled through both their personal life and the broader Maplewood community. Initially, the revelation felt like a double-edged sword. While it offered a potential advantage in confronting the HOA, it also brought a weight of responsibility that Alex had never anticipated. Questions about how to wield this newfound authority loomed large. Should they approach the matter with caution, or leverage their connection to make bold demands for change? As Alex began to explore the legal ramifications, consultations with experts revealed a landscape fraught with complexities. The nature of this ownership was not straightforward. It required navigating bureaucratic channels and understanding federal protocols. They learned that while having a stake in such an influential agency could provide leverage, it also came with scrutiny and potential backlash from those who might view Alex as a target or adversary. Meanwhile, word spread throughout Maplewood about Alex's unique position. Fellow homeowners were galvanized by the notion that they now had someone who could potentially challenge the status quo on their behalf. Community meetings transformed from casual discussions into strategic planning sessions where residents brainstormed ways to present a unified front against the HOA's authoritarian practices. However, this momentum brought its own challenges. Some residents began to question whether they were prepared for the interest that would inevitably come from external parties intrigued by Alex's connection to the FBI. There were whispers about how powerful forces might react to a perceived threat against established norms, making it clear that this fight was no longer just localized but entangled in something much larger. Determined to harness this unexpected power responsibly, Alex resolved to set up meetings with local officials and media to raise awareness about their plight. Through careful navigation, they aimed not only to reclaim their property but also to shed light on how similar situations could arise elsewhere, thereby ensuring that Maplewood's ideals of community and individuality were preserved for future generations. With each passing day, Alex's sense of purpose sharpened. This was not merely about recovering land. It was about standing up for justice against bureaucratic overreach in all its forms. The stage was set for a confrontation between Alex and the HOA, their resolve sharpened by the growing support of their neighbors. A town hall meeting was organized in the community center, with residents eager to voice their concerns about the HOA's overreach and Alex's unique situation. As the day approached, anticipation filled the air, and nerves ran high. This was more than simply a discussion. It was a stand against an entrenched authority that had long taken advantage of its power. On the evening of the meeting, tension crackled as homeowners filled every available seat, murmurs and whispers echoing throughout the room. The atmosphere shifted when Alex took the floor. Clutching a stack of documents, they presented evidence of the HOA's secret plans to repurpose their property without consent, illustrating how this disregard for community input had transformed their sanctuary into a graveyard. The flicker of realization spread among attendees. Many had felt similarly marginalized and oppressed by bureaucratic decisions that prioritized aesthetics over individual rights. Then Alex leaned into the weighty revelation of their family connection to the FBI. They framed it not just as personal leverage, but as a historical legacy of responsibility to ensure transparency and accountability within local governance. "This isn't just my fight, it's ours," Alex declared. "We have the right to stand up for our community against bureaucratic tyranny." The HOA board was visibly shaken, unprepared for such a united front brewing within the ranks of homeowners. As residents expressed their frustration over arbitrary fines and changes made without consultation, a sense of solidarity surged through the room, transforming apprehensive whispers into determined voices. As discussions intensified, Alex proposed actionable steps, filing a formal complaint against the HOA for violating property rights and demanding transparency in future decision-making. The attendees erupted in agreement, emboldened by their unified stance. This moment marked a turning point. No longer were they passive participants in community governance, but rather active advocates seeking justice. The HOA now faced formidable opposition rooted in both legal backing and emotional resolve. A storm of change brewed on the horizon, setting up a climactic battle that would redefine boundaries between authority and community rights in Maplewood. As the confrontation with the HOA escalated, Alex found themselves navigating a complex web of legal and personal battles. The stakes had risen significantly. What began as a personal fight over their property now involved intense scrutiny from both local authorities and the broader community. Armed with their newfound knowledge about their connection to the FBI, Alex sought legal counsel to understand how to best utilize this leverage. The first step was filing a formal complaint against the HOA for violating property rights and failing to uphold democratic processes. This complaint was not just about reclaiming Alex's land, but also a means to restore faith in community governance. As they worked with attorneys, it became clear that pursuing this path would involve extensive legal proceedings, which could be costly and time-consuming. Meanwhile, tensions within the community simmered as residents debated how far they were willing to go in challenging the HOA. Some homeowners expressed apprehension about potential backlash from powerful board members who had long enjoyed unchecked authority. Others were emboldened by Alex's courage, viewing this as a pivotal moment to reclaim their rights and hold the HOA accountable for its actions. On a personal level, Alex grappled with feelings of isolation amidst this turmoil. Despite the support from neighbors, there were moments of self-doubt when they questioned whether they were prepared for the battle ahead. The pressure mounted as media outlets began picking up on the story, highlighting Alex's unique stake in the FBI and portraying them as a symbol of resistance against bureaucratic oppression. As court dates approached, Alex immersed themselves in research about property laws and homeowner rights, determined not only to win back their land but also to empower others facing similar struggles. They organized workshops for residents on understanding HOA bylaws and property rights, fostering a sense of unity and collective strength. The legal battles that lay ahead would test not only Alex's resolve but also the community's commitment to change. With every challenge faced, however, came opportunities for growth, both personally and within Maplewood itself. Together, they would stand firm against adversity, striving toward a future where individual rights were respected and celebrated. After months of tension and legal battles, the moment of resolution finally arrived for Alex and the Maplewood community. The court ruling was a landmark decision that not only reinstated Alex's ownership of the property but also held the HOA accountable for their overreach and lack of transparency. The judge's words resonated deeply within the community, emphasizing the importance of individual rights and the necessity of proper governance and maintaining trust between residents and their associations. In the aftermath, there was a palpable shift in the atmosphere of Maplewood. Many residents who had previously felt powerless began to reclaim their voices, emboldened by the victory. Community meetings transformed into proactive discussions about governance and involvement, with people eager to participate rather than passively accept decisions from above. Alex's journey had sparked newfound awareness about homeowner rights and responsibilities, encouraging residents to engage actively in local matters. On a personal level, Alex emerged from this experience with lessons that extended far beyond property disputes. They learned about resilience in the face of adversity and how powerful advocacy can be when individuals unite for a common cause. The importance of transparency and governance became a guiding principle for both Alex and their neighbors, who worked together to create more open lines of communication with the HOA moving forward. Additionally, Alex's connection to the FBI took on new meaning. They decided to use their unique position not as leverage, but as a resource for public service, mentoring locals about rights related to property ownership and advocating for clearer regulations governing HOAs. This shift from confrontation to collaboration allowed Alex to channel their energy into constructive community building. Reflecting on what transpired, Alex realized that grassroots movements could affect real change when fueled by determination and unity. Maplewood was no longer just a collection of homes. It was evolving into a vibrant community where residents looked out for one another, championing individual rights while fostering inclusive dialogue. As they planted new flowers in the revitalized garden, once again transforming it into a sanctuary, Alex felt hopeful about future possibilities, both personally and collectively. As they continued to nurture a spirit of resilience and integrity within Maplewood. As the dust settled from the legal battles and community upheaval, Alex reflected on the transformative journey that had unfolded in Maplewood. The experience had not only been a fight for their land, but also a catalyst for profound change within the neighborhood. With newfound clarity, Alex embraced their role as a leader and mentor, eager to ensure that such issues would not plague their community again. In planning for the future, Alex envisioned a series of initiatives aimed at fostering transparency and active participation in local governance. They proposed creating an advisory board composed of diverse community members tasked with reviewing HOA policies and ensuring that all voices were heard before decisions were made. This board would serve as a bridge between residents and the HOA, promoting open dialogue and collaboration. Additionally, Alex decided to establish regular workshops focusing on homeowner rights, engaging local law experts to educate residents about navigating complex property laws and advocating for themselves. By empowering neighbors with knowledge, Alex believed they could build a more resilient community capable of standing up against bureaucratic overreach without fear. As spring approached, Alex dedicated time to rejuvenate their property alongside fellow residents. The once neglected garden transformed into a flourishing communal space where everyone pitched in, flowers bloomed while laughter echoed among friends. This gathering place became a symbol of unity, resilience, and shared hopes for the future. Looking ahead, Alex envisioned Maplewood not merely as a collection of homes, but as a vibrant community where people felt connected and responsible for each other. They planned annual events celebrating local culture and traditions, encouraging interactions among new families and longtime residents alike. Ultimately, what had begun as an individual struggle morphed into a movement that emphasized collective empowerment. Alex was determined to ensure that the lessons learned, the importance of advocacy, transparency, and collaboration, would become foundational principles for future generations. With excitement brimming for what lay ahead, Alex felt hopeful about leaving behind a legacy rooted in justice and integrity. As they tended to the garden one sunny afternoon, they realized this journey was just beginning. Together with their neighbors, they would cultivate not only plants but also relationships that would make Maplewood thrive in ways they had never imagined.